Tūrān literally means the land of the Tur, and is a region in Central Asia. The term is of Persian origin and may refer to a certain prehistoric human settlement, a historic geographical region, or a culture. The original Turanians were an Iranian tribe of the Avestan age. Overview. In ancient Iranian mythology, Turaj is the son of the emperor Feridun. According to the account in the Shahnameh, the nomadic tribes who inhabited these lands were ruled by Tur. In that sense, the Turanians could be members of two Iranian peoples, both descending from Feridun, but with different geographical domains and often at war with each other. Tūrān, therefore, comprised 5 areas: the Kopet-Dag region, the Atrak Valley, the eastern Alborz Mountains, Helmand Valley, Bactria and Marjana. A later association of the original Turanians with Turkic peoples is based primarily on the subsequent Turkification of Central Asia, including the above areas. According to C. E. Bosworth, however, there was no cultural relationship between the ancient Turkic cultures and the Turanians of the Shahnameh. Terminology. Ancient literature. Avesta. The oldest existing mention of Tūrān is in the Farvardin Yash, which are in the Young Avestan language and have been dated by linguists to approximately 2300 BCE. According to Professor Gerardo Noli, the Avesta contains the names of various tribes who lived in proximity to each other. The areas Tur used Serimus, Sinus and Dahis. In the hymns of the Avesta, the adjective Turya is attached to various enemies of Zoroastrism like Franrisyan. The word occurs only once in the Gathas but 20 times in the later parts of the Avesta. The Turyas, as they were called in Avesta, play a more important role in the Avesta than the Serimus, Sinus and Dahis. Zoroaster himself hailed from the Arya people, but he also preached his message to other neighboring tribes. According to Mary Boyce, in the Farvardin Yasht, in it are praised the Fravashis of righteous men and women not only among the Aryas, but also among the Turyas, Serimus, Sinus and Dahis, and the personal names, like those of the people, all seem Iranian character. Hostility between Turya and Arya is indicated also in the Farvardin Yast, where the Fravashis of the Just are said to have provided support in battle against the Danas, who appear to be a clan of the Tura people. Thus in the Avesta, some of the Turyas believed in the message of Zoroaster while others rejected the religion. Similar to the ancient homeland of Zoroaster, the precise geography and location of Tūrān is unknown. In post-Avestan traditions they were thought to inhabit the region north of the Oxus, the river separating them from the Iranians. The presence, accompanied by incessant wars with the Iranians, helped to define the latter as a distinct nation, proud of the land and ready to spill the blood in its defense. The common names of Turanians in Avesta and Shahnameh include Frarisyan, Agrithra, Midish, Arjasp and Amquast. The names of Iranian tribes, including those of the Turanians that appear in Avesta, have been studied by Professor Meyerhofer in his comprehensive book on Avesta. Personal name etymologies. Iranisches Personennamen Buch I. Die Altirannischen Namen. Physical L. Die Avestischen Namen. Late Sassanid, early Islamic era. The continuation of nomadic invasions on the northeastern borders in historical times kept the memory of the Turanians alive. After the 6th century, the Turks, who had been pushed westward by other tribes, became neighbors of Iran and were identified with the Turanians. The identification of the Turanians with the Turks was a late development, possibly made in the early 7th century. The Turks first came into contact with the Iranians only in the 6th century. According to C. E. Bosworth, in early Islamic times Persians tended to identify all the lands to the northeast of Khorasan and lying beyond the Oxus with the region of Tūrān. which in the Shahnameh of Ferdowsi is regarded as the land allotted to Iran's son Tur. The denizens of Tūrān were held to include the Turks. In the first 4 centuries of Islam, essentially those nomadizing beyond the Jaksatis, and behind them the Chinese. Tūrān thus became both an ethnic and a geographical term, but always containing ambiguities and contradictions, arising from the fact that all through Islamic times the lands immediately beyond the Oxus and along its lower reaches were the homes not of Turks, but of Iranian peoples, such as the Sogdians and Khwarezmians. The terms Turk and Turanian became used interchangeably during the Islamic era. The Shahnameh, or the Book of Kings, the compilation of Iranian mythical heritage, uses the 2 terms equivalently. Other authors, including Tabari, Hakim Iran Shah and many other texts follow like. A notable exception is the Abul Hasan Ali ibn Masudi, an Arab historian who writes, "The birth of Afrasiab was in the land of Turks, and the error that historians and non-historians have made about him being a Turk is due to this reason." By the 10th century, the myth of Afrasiab was adopted by the Karakhanid dynasty. During the Safavid era, following the common geographical convention of the Shahnameh, the term Tūrān was used to refer to the domain of the Uzbek Empire in conflict with the Safavids. Some linguists derive the word from the Indo-Iranian root *Tura, strong, quick, sword, Pashtu Tūrān, swordsman. Others link it to Old Iranian *Tor, dark black, related to the New Persian tar, Pashtu Tor, and possibly English dark. In this case, it is a reference to the dark civilization of Central Asian nomads in contrast to the illuminated Zoroastrian civilization of the settled Arya. Shahnameh. In the Persian epic Shahnameh, the term Turan refers to the inhabitants of the eastern Iranian border and beyond the Oxus. According to the foundation myth given in the Shahnameh, King Fayadun had 3 sons, Sam, Tur and Raj, among whom he divided the world. Asia Minor was given to Sam, Turan to Tur and Iran to Raj. The older brothers killed the younger, but he was avenged by his grandson, and the Iranians became the rulers of the world. However, the war continued for generations. In the Shahnameh, the word Turan appears nearly 150 times and that of Iran nearly 750 times. Some examples from the Shahnameh: due to the multitude of the swordsmen in the Turanian army, one cannot view the sands, or see the mountains. The Tahimtan Rustam went to battle against the armies of Turan like a leopard when he sees his hunt. Modern literature. Geography. From the early 20th century, Western languages borrowed the word Tūrān as a general designation for Central Asia. Accordingly, the phrase Tūrān Plain or Tūrān Depression became a geographical term referring to a part of Central Asia. Linguistics. The term Turanian, now obsolete, formerly occurred in the classifications used by European ethnologists, linguists, and romantics to designate populations speaking non-Indo-European, non-Semitic, and non-Hamitic languages, and specially speakers of Altaic, Dravidian, Uralic, Japanese, Korean and other languages. Max Müller identified different sub-branches within the Turanian language family. The Middle Altaic division branch, comprising Tungusic, Mongolic, Turkic. The northern Ural Samoyedic, Ugarish and Finnic. The southern branch consisted of Dravidian languages such as Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, and other Dravidian languages. The languages of the Caucasus, which Müller classified as the scattered languages of the Turanian family. Müller also began to muse whether Chinese belonged to the northern branch or southern branch. The main relationships between Dravidian, Uralic, and Altaic languages were considered typological. According to Encyclopaedia Britannica, language families, as conceived in the historical study of languages, should not be confused with the quite separate classifications of languages by reference to the sharing certain predominant features of grammatical structure. As of 2013, linguists classify languages according to the method of comparative linguistics rather than using the typological features. According to Encyclopaedia Britannica, Max's Muller's efforts were most successful in the case of the Semites, whose affinities are easy to demonstrate, and probably least successful in the case of the Turanian peoples, whose early origins are hypothetical. As of 2014, the scholarly community no longer uses the word Turanian to denote a classification of language families. The relationship between Uralic and Altaic, whose speakers were also designated as Turanian people in 19th-century European literature, remains uncertain. Ideology in European discourse. The words Tūrān and Turanian can designate a certain mentality, i.e., the nomadic, in contrast to the urbanized agricultural civilizations. This usage probably matches the Zoroastrian concept of the Turya, which is not primarily a linguistic or ethnic designation, but rather a name of the infidels that opposed the civilization based on the preaching of Zoroaster. Combined with physical anthropology, the concept of the Turanian mentality has a clear potential for cultural polemic. Thus, in 1838, the scholar J. W. Jackson described the Tūrānid, a Turanian race, in the following words: "The Turanian is the impersonation of material power. He is the merely muscular man at his maximum of collective development. He is not inherently a savage, but he is radically a barbarian. He does not live from hand to mouth, like a beast, but neither has he in full measure the moral and intellectual endowments of the true man. He can labor and he can accumulate, but he cannot think and aspire like a Caucasian. Of the two grand elements of superior human life, he is more deficient in the sentiments than in the faculties, and of the latter, he is better provided with those that conduce to the acquisition of knowledge than the origination of ideas." According to Iranian poet Muhammad Taghi Bahar, the name Tūrān derives from the Avestan Tūrān, which means further on the river, where the river equates to the Amudarya. Bahar also mentions the word Turkish from Middle Persian Turk, which means warrior or horseman. Polish philosopher Felix Koneczny claimed the existence of a distinctive Turanian civilization encompassing both Turkic and some Slavs, such as Russians. This alleged civilization's hallmark would be militarism, anti-intellectualism, and an absolute obedience to the ruler. Koneczny saw this civilization as inherently inferior to Latin civilization. Politics. In the declining days of the Ottoman Empire, some Turkish nationalists adopted the word Turanian to express a pan-Turkic ideology, also called Turanism. As of 2013, Turanism forms an important aspect of the ideology of the Turkish Nationalist Movement Party, whose members are also known as Grey Wolves. In recent times, the word Turanian has sometimes expressed a pan-Altaic nationalism, though no political organization seems to have adopted such an ambitious platform. Names Tūrān or Tūrāndokt is a female name in Iran, and it means Turan's daughter in Persian. Tūrān is also a common name in the Middle East, and as family surnames in some countries including Bahrain, Iran, Bosnia and Turkey. The Ayyubid ruler Saladin had an older brother with the name Turan Shah, Turaj, whom ancient Iranian myths depict as the ancestor of the Turanians, is also a popular name and means son of darkness. The name Tūrān, according to Iranian myths, derives from the homeland of Turaj. The Pahlavi pronunciation of Turaj is Tush, according to the Decoder dictionary. Similarly, Araj, which is also a popular name, is is the brother of Tūraj and the Shahnameh, an altered version of Tūraj is Siraj, which means son of gold. Family tree.